The year 1993, the guy that brought you Tieless Plumbers, Green Tunicked Adventurers, and a Big Stubborn Ape presents his newest creation. Animals in space. Meet the Starfox team, the young engineer and mechanic Slippy, the elder veteran Peppy Hare, the cheeky bird Falco, and their leader, the one and only Fox McCloud. Nintendo busted out the big guns for this title, loading the Starfox cartridge with their cutting-edge Super FX chip, a coprocessor which allowed the game to utilize advanced 3D graphics. The result was a scrolling 3D rail shooter on a 16-bit console, where Starfox and his team traversed the Lylat system to defeat Andross and his evil monkey army, to bring peace and prosperity to all. Except monkeys, apparently.
Okay!
Starfox blasted onto the gaming market, eventually selling over 4 million copies worldwide. Not to mention, sending a clear message to the Sega Genesis that, yes, Nintendo does what Genesis does, and more. Moving ahead a few years, in 1996, Nintendo went full speed ahead into the bit wars with the N64, revolutionizing the standards of 3D gaming with launch titles like Mario 64 and Wave Race 64. In early 1997, we saw the return of the Starfox team, in what most people consider the pinnacle of the Star Fox series, Star Fox 64, where you join Fox and his friends in a retelling of the original Star Fox story in a Lylat system composed of more than a handful of polygons. Remember how each member of the Star Fox team had their own distinct personalities in the first game? Well, in Star Fox 64, all those zippy one-liners and banter are fully voice-acted with impressively clear audio, given the limitations of the hardware. The dialogue remains both memorable and applicable to our daily life, a true testament to great video game literature.
Okay, guys, Slippy!
Hey, what's the big idea? Fox, get this guy off me!
Huh? What? Don't relax. We're not done yet.
What do you think you're doing, Fox?
I'm on it.
Fox! Fox!
Just shoot it, Fox!
Ah!
Why don't you come down here, Falco?
Back off, Fox!
I won't let you down, sir.
Jeez Louise, what is that? Fox! I ain't your buddy, go away! Aim for his back!
Escaping? I don't think so.
Oh! Jeez, quit moving around!
Don't forget me! Ah!
What's taking you so long, Fox?
Here comes a big one.
Ah!
Way to go, Fox! I knew you'd come.
Gee, I've been by Fox. How swell. What the heck?
Returning to the late 1990s console wars, Nintendo wasn't alone in their onslaught of the competition as they bolstered themselves with a cavalry of game developing companies. The most notable developer being Rare, who had already pushed the 16-bit Super Nintendo to its limits with the Donkey Kong Country trilogy. Now, with 64-bit hardware at their disposal, Rare ascended to legendary status, arguably even crafting better games than Nintendo for the N64. Rare was exceptionally adept at noticing the subtle flaws in Nintendo's successful games and fixing these issues in their own titles. Let's look at 3D platformers. Problem: Mario 64's frustrating camera controls. Solution: Banjo-Kazooie's instant camera rotation with the click of a button. Problem: Doom 64's lack of aiming in multiplayer mode. Solution: GoldenEye's 4-player first-person shooter, which revolutionized the prospects of a console first-person shooter multiplayer experience. Problem: Rare making too many silly kid-friendly collectathons in the 1990s. Solution: Take the next silly kid-friendly collectathon you're currently working on and warp the universe with twisted adult humor while still retaining the cute furry animals. Genius. Nearing the turn of the new millennium, and with the N64 approaching the end of its life cycle, Rare geared up their dev team to deliver a capstone to their 64-bit dynasty with an incredibly ambitious title, Dinosaur Planet. The concept: a grand sprawling adventure following two anthropomorphic foxes, Saber and Crystal, on a quest to rescue their father, Randorn, from the ruthless tyrant taking a few inspirations from the recent Zelda release, Ocarina of Time. The game would focus around exploration, solving puzzles, and real-time combat. Rare's innovation here was threefold. First, the player would be able to control both Saber and Crystal throughout their quest, which allowed for a more in-depth story and dual character development. Imagine playing as both Link and Zelda in a quest to defeat Ganon. Now wouldn't that be cool?
Oh boy!
Second, both Saber and Crystal get a unique animal companion to aid them in their quest. Saber with Prince Tricky, the Kid Earthwalker, and Crystal with Princess Kite, the little Cloudrunner. With the popularity of Pokemon exploding worldwide, this was a clever move by Rare to attempt to dash some Pokemon seasoning atop their Zelda-style adventure, and also allowed for the possibility of more complicated dungeons and puzzles. Third, it appeared that Rare intended to have this title fully voice-acted.
And they took your father into the walled city.
With the red eyes and the hook claws, we've got to help him!
Which was possible on the N64, as they would later show with Conker's Bad Fur Day. Now imagine if Ocarina of Time was fully voice-acted. Now wouldn't that be cool?
My boy, I wonder what's for dinner.
Anyway, so the guy who designed the Big Starminate, the Tileless Plumbers, and the Green Tunicked Adventurer had an opportunity to view a playable early build of Dinosaur Planet, to which he said, and I paraphrase, "Oh, you made a game with Fox McCloud. Great idea. Let's throw in the whole Starfox team," to which Rare hesitantly replied, "Yes sir, great idea sir," or something to that effect. And thus began the tweaking and redevelopment of Dinosaur Planet on the N64 into Starfox Adventures for the Nintendo GameCube. Examining this decision from Nintendo's perspective, this was an expedient way to fast-track a new Starfox game as an early launch title for their new console, as the game was already in heavy development. Furthermore, since Star Fox 64 was a commercial success, and Rare was a trusted third-party company with a stellar record of creating hit Nintendo games, the decision appeared mutually beneficial for both parties. Nintendo sells more games, and Rare gets to use the Star Fox IP. However, one subtle caveat would come with this decision. See, Dinosaur Planet was nothing like the previous Star Fox games the fans had come to know and love. It wasn't a rail shooter in space with the Star Fox crew. It was a Zelda-inspired 3D adventure game, and much like Zelda 2, Mario Bros. 2, and Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest on the NES, this unfamiliar Star Fox sequel could be hard to digest for those expecting a more visually aesthetic reimagining of Star Fox 64. Well, let's take a look at the finished product, shall we? This is Star Fox Adventures. The good, the bad, and the furry. Both Dinosaur Planet and Star Fox Adventures began with the same setting. You play as Crystal riding on a Cloudrunner to intercept General Scale's flying ship in a small and simple boss battle. Immediately, there are a few problems. First, if you're trying to appease the Star Fox 64 fans that were accustomed to tight, responsive R-Wing controls, with aiming reticle included, a fox girl on a flying dino puking blue plasma doesn't cut it. Second, why did they feel it was necessary to invent a fake language for the inhabitants of Dinosaur Planet? What? This wasn't intended in the original game.
I've had a garbled message from the wizard. Something about a floating mountain hidden within a storm.
Perhaps Rare was inspired by the recent release of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which also utilized many scenes with fake alien languages. At any rate, perhaps we can all agree that taking even a speck of inspiration from The Phantom Menace is a horrible, horrible mistake. Except for pod racing. That shit was cool. Anyway, Crystal lands on the ship and encounters the game's main villain.
General Scales. Hiku, Kohud, or Taskuki, if Dinosaur Planet.
Now, I don't know if it's the use of gibberish, the music, or the lighting, but this scene seemed much more intense and thrilling in the N64 version.
General Scales, ruler, tyrant, and dictator of the Sharpclaw tribe. To my Juby, animal girl.
My name is Crystal, and I've come for the princess.
He also puts off some Ocarina of Time Ganon vibes. Now there's a bigger issue at hand here, which must be addressed. When you head into the bottom area of the ship, you find the entire section is a shrine holding this key. Just give Crystal a few seconds to pick it up. This key must be sacred, or perhaps extremely important to General Scales, right? Perhaps it's used to free the little Cloudrunner on the deck. No, of course not. Well, it turns out, the key in the bottom of General Scales' ship, with a whole damn shrine devoted to it, opens this closet. And we're not even talking on the ship. Nope, it opens a small closet in Krazoa Palace, which only holds a barrel. If this guy goes through all that effort to store the key to his closet, you would think he would be hiding a little something more than just a barrel. Maybe something he doesn't want Mrs. General Scales to see, perhaps. And this guy, he talks now? But before he... whatever, moving on. You work your way through what's essentially a tutorial level and have to complete this simple minigame. Yes, I know, that's been discussed by everyone else who's made a Star Fox Adventures video. Crystal is captured in a shiny, translucent, regularly patterned, homogeneous, three-dimensional solid characterized by external planar faces. The word escapes me. But the point is, she's stuck there. Not only did they take this awesome, brave young heroine Fox and morph her into a hyper-sexualized if machine, they scrapped the concept of playing as both Fox and Crystal in a quest to save Dinosaur Planet, essentially turning her into a helpless Princess Zelda.
NANI?!
Meanwhile, the Starfox crew receives a mission briefing about restoring the unstable Dinosaur Planet, which is crumbling apart because 4 spellstones were removed from the Force Point Temple. While Fox and friends are initially hesitant to accept the mission, the financial reward was simply too tempting. Remember when Link didn't want to save Zelda and wouldn't get out of bed until Navi told him Zelda was a rich princess? Yeah, me either. And this slightly irritates me. Many times throughout the game, Fox gives the impression that he really doesn't care about this adventure, the planet, or any of this.
You've got to help us!
Okay, stop crying.
He's all in it for the cash.
Mission accomplished. Contact General Pepper so we can get paid. She is gonna be okay, isn't she, Fox?
Yes. Oh my god.
Let's take a look at Saber from the original game. Look how proud he was, and enthusiastic too, about his quest.
It's all right, Tricky. I can look for your father.
Ah, well, maybe it's all some cryptic allegory for Rare's true feelings about Nintendo scrapping their new IP for a Star Fox game. Regardless, Fox heads to the planet alone, and you now get your first taste of an HD Star Fox 64 game. The music is there, the ship looks great, and many people love to exclaim their joy for the flying missions in the game. But in my opinion, they're lacking the heart and the feel of the original game. What's the objective? Get to the planet and fly through one gold ring. There's no boss at the end of the stage, and the mission objective for the other 4 flying missions are all the same. There's really no variety to it. In the previous Star Fox games, there were planets, space armadas, satellites, but here, all the stages are asteroid fields. Granted, the original game Dinosaur Planet was never designed to have traditional Star Fox levels. I suppose we can give Rare a pass for their attempt to appease the Star Fox fanbase, but still, it does feel a bit empty. I mean, there's no Peppy flying with me telling me to do various technical aerial maneuvers.
Do a barrel roll!
Slippy's not here getting shot down by enemies, and Falco... Wait a minute, where the is Falco? Huh, maybe he took the escape pod when he heard the mission briefing.
I'll pass, Fox.
Well, while Falco pursues his dream of an acting career, Fox descends down to the central hub of Dinosaur Planet, Thorntail Hollow. Alright, Fox, let's hit the ground guns blazing and...
What about a weapon? Why couldn't I bring my blaster?
This mission is about saving the planet, not blowing it up.
Yeah, very funny, sir. Fox out.
Oh good, they sent a small unarmed fox to combat an army of sentient carnivorous dinosaurs. Good thinking. Well, a few feet away from your ship, you'll find Crystal's magical staff. At least no innocent dinosaurs will be injured by a misfired laser blast.
Fox, that's one of ours!
Good thinking, General Pepper. Just a few moments later, you head down a hole to pick up your first staff upgrade, the Fire Blaster. Yeah, okay, wait a second. So you're saying the blaster was too dangerous to the structural integrity of the life on Dinosaur Planet, but oh, the Fire Blaster is just
fine and dandy.
Next, Fox meets the Queen Earthwalker, who sounds a lot like Katie Seagal. And then Shrek.
Nobody ever brings me gifts anymore!
Yeah, I remember that movie. It was a good one.
Ah, a lovely sweetie.
Or maybe he's more like Fat Bastard.
A few moments later,
Fox warps to a pristine ice world where he meets Prince Tricky, who's chased by dinos. Hold on, little guy, Fox is on his way. After a quick scuffle, Tricky bails and a Return of the Jedi-esque speeder chase ensues. Well, let's just hop on the speeder and rescue him. I mean, how hard could a speeder chase in a Rare game possibly be? Ah,
one eternity later.
What?
Looks like Fox has had it with this fake language too. But Slippy pulls through in just the nick of time.
Sizboo at hot spring, or you'd be frozen by now. Why, you little...
NANI?!
Now that we got that out of our system, let's discuss this. It's undeniable that Dinosaur Planet was heavily inspired by Ocarina of Time, and honestly, I wouldn't mind this new item pickup animation if it took 2 to 3 seconds instead of around 7. Also, there are multiple times that the animation repeats for the same or very similar items where it's totally unnecessary. Like this part, where you need to collect 3 wooden blocks. Yeah, sure, they're different shapes, but come on. Or worse, when you're in the first dungeon and you collect 3 cogs. Oh, but wait, they're also in chests, so you have to watch that animation too. That's 16 seconds per cog! Sure, this is annoying, but for me, at least, it's not annoying enough to ruin the overall gameplay experience. You'll have to sit through a lot of item pickup animations early on in your quest, as you make the first few encounters with common items, but the pickup animations only play once, for the most part. At least Rare was kind enough not to make us suffer through pickup animations for every item each time we reset the game. Now, imagine that in a Zelda game. That alone would be enough to make it the worst in the series. Yeah, another video for another day. Oh wow, I talked for so long about item pickups, it's night now. That's bad news for me, or any player that reaches this section at nighttime. Why? Because Rare thought it would be a good idea to let this mammoth have a realistic sleep cycle. Why is that an issue? Because you need to talk to him to advance. After a long cold night, the big guy finally wakes up and we can move on.
I'm too hungry to talk to strangers.
No choice but to find some food for this guy in exchange for his help. And using Tricky to do unpaid labor makes it quick and easy. For your efforts, he gives Fox the Scarab bag so you can carry more bugs? Because yeah, that's dinosaur currency.
By collecting scarabs, you'll be able to buy many useful items.
Seriously? He just told me what the bags do. Do I have to sit through a pickup animation and an item description for this? Anyway, we still need this guy and he still needs food. So go grab him another root to eat and make sure you do it fast or else you'll be sitting around for about 5 minutes waiting for the f***ing sun to come up. So feed him, the block comes down, and we're moving on. Hold up, what game are we playing again? That doesn't look like Link to me, that looks like a fox, but there's the bats from Zelda Ocarina of Time. Okay, you know what? Let's just list all the similarities between Zelda Ocarina of Time and Star Fox Adventures now and get it out of the way.
Link, here come to town, come to save the Princess Zelda.
Yeah, sure, there are a few inspirations taken from Zelda, but...
Gone and put it away, now the children don't play, but they will when Link saves the day. Hallelujah! Now Link, fill up your hearts.
Really? they added those too, huh?
So you can shoot your sword with power, and when you're feeling all down, the Furry will come around, so you'll be brave and not easy coward.
Okay, this is starting to border on copyright infringement. Well, it's a good thing Star Fox Adventures was released on a Nintendo console. Wow, this game took that many non-trivial inspirations from Ocarina of Time. Having another Nintendo IP and a Zelda-style adventure is fine with me, if it's crafted with the same care and attention that the Zelda franchise receives. Not to mention, this was the first major Zelda-style game on the GameCube, released just shy of 3 months before Wind Waker. Furthermore, Star Fox Adventures did have some innovations over Zelda, like allowing the player to select spells, pet commands, and items without pausing the game. Another point, Ocarina of Time is often lauded with praise for being revolutionary and setting the standards for 3D action-adventure puzzle games, and while it's certainly polished and perfected the genre, many of these aspects were presented by Eidos in their release of Tomb Raider on the PlayStation 1 back in 1996. That's right, Ocarina of Time was also heavily inspired by another game.
Liar!
Tomb Raider's block puzzles, bats, climbing, and ledge hanging are all clearly present in Ocarina of Time, and at least Star Fox Adventures didn't take any ideas directly from Tomb Raider. Finally, we've saved Tricky and returned him to his mother, and now we can go solo and finish our mission.
She is gonna be okay, isn't she, Fox? Is there anything we can do for her? We need to find white grub tubs.
White grub tubs? Of course, my grandma would always give me those when I was sick.
Okay, Tricky, you stay here. I'll go search down there. But I need to help my mom.
I know you want to go down there, Tricky, but you're forgetting one little small tiny detail that perhaps you know. You just can't climb a ladder with dinosaur feet. I mean, look what happened to this guy. He got stuck down here a few decades back.
50 years alone I've been, thinking of entering the Lord Sanctum without a lantern to light your way. You must be as mad as me. Go and see the shopkeeper.
You know, I'm okay with some backtracking in games, but this could have been avoided if somebody would have told me I needed to buy the lantern beforehand. Whatever. Buy the lantern, find the grub tubs, heal Mama, then backtrack again to the snow world to unlock the first of the game's 4 major dungeons, the Dark Ice Mines. And there's no more Tricky to drag around and feed.
My son will remain with you.
Oh, no!
Even Fox isn't enthusiastic about this, but honestly, it's fine. It's kinda cool that you can control both characters simultaneously without pausing the game. It's a respect for the player's time that's oh so absent in other parts of this game.
One eternity later.
So we fly through some more rings and land on the planetoidal fragment. And prepare yourselves because this is the most detailed, expansive, and complete dungeon in the entire game. There's a reason for this, as Dark Ice Mines was thoughtfully created and designed in the N64 version of the game, and only had to be slightly revamped for the GameCube version. First objective, freeing mammoths that were enslaved by other dinosaurs. The Jurassic Age was so cruel. There's the oppressor. No. More? Stomping on other poor reptiles ever again. Oh, wait a minute, we need him to complete the dungeon? Perhaps some food will help him forget about this whole affair. Oh, this is a good part. Rare may be experts at computer science, but not so much at physics. I ran the numbers, and melting this big slab of ice with this tiny campfire would take about 64 days. Not 6.4 seconds, which by the way would require multiple rekindled campfires, but hey, there are worse offenders out there. Next, we shoot the dinos with the cannon and grab the cogs to unlock the lower levels of Dark Ice Mines and... Oh, the horror. How could they do this? What would Falco say if he was here?
This is horrible.
And if you think this looks like hell, just wait until you get to this part. Here you have to carry this barrel of explosives up this spiral ramp while barrels are thrown down at you. The pathway is extremely narrow, and the trajectory of the barrels is challenging to predict. Just one collision, and you're heading back to the bottom to grab another barrel. Not to mention you'll have to manually adjust the camera to follow Fox as you climb to avoid being disoriented. Nearly at the top. Now let's see the face of the bastard that's thrown these things.
What? You were expecting Donkey Kong? Fuck him and fuck you!
A few rooms later, and we're at the boss's room. Let's see how this compares to a Zelda boss. An expansive arena containing a gigantic frozen dinosaur awaits you. Climb up his frozen body and grab the spellstone. Nah, let's melt the ice so we can hear that sweet budget version Ocarina of Time boss music. This first boss is top-notch, and he ain't no Goma. After getting a good blow on him, he swallows you whole, and you find the spellstone embedded in his uvula. Now, that just sounds dirty. Well, what are you waiting for, Fox? Whack it! You get spit out, repeat this again, and you'll have yourself a shiny and sticky spellstone. Time to get that sucker back to the Fire Force Point Temple, which is located in a new area, Moon Pass. New area, old obstacles. While fighting our way over to the Force Point Temple, let's take a moment to comment on the combat system in Starfox Adventures. Much like 3D Zeldas, you can lock onto an enemy while in combat. The most common enemy you'll encounter is this lizard man, one of General Scale's grunts. My first impression of the combat system, having binged on the most recent Zelda at the time, Majora's Mask, is that Fox handles the staff like a pro. It's really satisfying to whack these guys with some different techniques. Attacking is conducted by simply mashing the A button, but you can mix up your technique by changing directions on the analog stick, for the sake of variety. The only criticism I have with the combat is that for most enemies, it doesn't matter how many times you whack them, because only the combo finisher deals damage. And if you get interrupted by a swarm of enemies before the combo finisher, you'll have wasted your time. Additionally, many of the utility spells you find in those Ocarina of Time-like underground holes can be utilized in combat. This becomes almost game-breaking when you get the Ice Blast in the Fire Force Point Temple after finishing that first dungeon. I could explain, but just watch.
Wahey! Wahey!
After popping the spellstone back into the temple and heading outside, we're greeted by a giant Krazoa ghost who gives us more unpaid work to do.
She is now in great danger, and for her to survive, you must continue what she started, and collect the remaining Krazoa spirits.
I can't just stop now to save this stranger.
It's okay, Fox. I'm sure you'll get this reward.
Defeat the creature to collect a moon seed.
Got it. Kill this guy. Just need to kill him. What the hell? Oh, I need a new power-up to kill him. Well, thanks for misleading me and wasting my time some more. Eventually, you make your way to Krazoa Spirit number 2. This time, you defeat a horde of stooges and become possessed. Best head over to the Krazoa Palace and get an exorcism. But...
wow, she's beautiful.
Not before we get to... the Furry.
What am I doing?
Peppy here! What are you doing, Fox? Release the spirit!
Yeah, Peppy. He was trying before you interrupted. Let's just give Fox a minute here.
Yeah!
So I have no problem with there being romantic interest for our protagonist in this game. I mean, Mario has Peach, Link has Zelda, and Milan, and Rudo, and... Anyway, the point is, it's about time Fox is getting some non-monetary motivation, if you know what I mean. When it starts to get weird is when people think that because this is okay, that means this is okay. Although the blue blur often gets the crown for twisted, perverted fanfictions, the Starfox series was fairly distant from any of that, until... Anyway, what I'm trying to say here is... Well, looks like Fox is ready to get back to his adventure, so it's off to Cape Claw. You pass through a wooded path with a gated-off village and have to give this guy...
60 Scarabs to enter Cape Claw!
...money to pass. Am I the only one who can picture the toilet hand from Majora's Mask down there? A bit further, and wow, Cape Claw looks amazing. But focus, Fox. There's a dinosaur in trouble. Well, clearly this is where the crying is coming from, but there's no way to talk to her. Guess we can talk to the big guy who got himself stuck inside the dock somehow.
When I heard the Sharpclaw were coming to Cape Claw, I hid my precious gold deep below the sands. Return all 4 gold bars, and I will help you on your quest.
So, let me get this straight. We have a crying, imprisoned female dino over there. But no, Rare wants us to help this greedy find his lost gold. What are you trying to tell us, Rare? Money, before all else? Is money your god?
Moments later.
Oh, okay, I get it. Now we can save the crying dino lady after helping the dude get his gold back because he stopped making a ladder fall down so we can flip a switch to open a door to a room with a toxic gas puzzle, which once solved opens the gate to the crying lady, even though we just moved the box to the original positions they were at before the puzzle started. Nah, makes perfect sense. So, who is this chick anyway?
He is an Earthwalker. I am a Cloudrunner.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
Apparently there's some tensions between the dino races here.
Whoa! A Cloudrunner! Shoo shoo! Go away, Cloudrunner! Get away!
Tricky, you really gotta be more tolerant, man.
There's no way I'm going up to her fortress. Okay, you can sit this one out. We'll head back to Thorntail Hollow, and you can wait there for me to return.
On second thought, sure. You stay here and let me attack the next dungeon solo. A quick backtrack to the ship in Thorntail Hollow and Fox is out of here. Okay, bye Tricky. See you later. Much later. Huh? Why did he get on the ship? I guess he's just gonna hang out in there for a while. Don't worry, buddy. I'll make this quick.
This is Cloudrunner Fortress. I'll fly ahead and check if it's safe.
A few stupid puzzles later.
I know it was the fox that set you free. Now where is he?
I do not know what you're talking about.
You will tell me! Where can I find the fox?
Holy sh**.
He will find you, and he will destroy you.
Stop! It's over, Scales. Leave the queen alone.
Enough! Take her away. the famous Fox McCloud. How nice of you to pay us a visit. Why don't I show you some of our hospitality?
Don't tase me, bro!
Now you wake up captured in a Metal Gear Solid style prison cell. You better break out of here quick, Fox. A guy like you won't survive long in prison. Slippy calls in and says he has a dinosaur disguise ready for you, and you could pick it up at the end of the hallway. It's about time. Slippy finally came through for us. I had my doubts, but hey, the disguise is good enough to fool this guy.
You take over. Keep eye on prisoner. Me go for break.
And almost every other enemy in the game. Remember when we discussed combat and how it became incredibly easy once you get the frost attack? Well, there's no more need for that. You can bypass all optional enemies with this disguise. And sure, it saves time, but you'll have to walk around like this. Yeah. After escaping prison, you'll realize the Cloudrunner Fortress dungeon is a bit smaller and less creative than the Dark Ice Mines. The power is out in the fortress, but you can gather 3 crystals and restart the power generator. Now, with the power back on, Fox can move deeper into the fortress and find...
My children are now hiding around the fortress.
Oh, I'm glad she's still alive and well after all the... She sends you on a fetch quest to find her kids, who are trained to fly back once they hear the magical tones of this flute. Please tell me you didn't write this. We play the flute to get the bird's attention, then we head down into the dungeon to fight the boss. Ooh, General Scales? That would have been nice, but no, there's no boss here. Scales was just a hologram or some other plot device, and that reptile stole the spellstone. So yeah, the boss is an anticlimactic speeder chase, and that's it. Is it too much to ask for a warm-up battle with General Scales before the real fight at the end of the game? I guess so. Time to head back to the Force Point Temple and... Oh god, I left Tricky in the R-Wing with the windows rolled up. Tricky? Buddy? Are you okay? No one must know. We can just seal up the door with a little welding and... Oh, well, okay then. Never mind that. The blue spellstones need to be delivered to the Cape Claw Force Point Temple. Remember the big Krazoa head? Yeah, it's in there. And the puzzles in here are fairly innovative. After we deposit the spellstone, it makes sense to head back to Thorntail Hollow, but while we're walking over there, I can't help but feel that Rare intended to have a boss battle in the Cloudrunner Fortress. It just felt so unfinished, and I'm feeling a bit concerned that as we delve deeper into this game, it'll have less content and polish. Almost like they were rushing to finish this game or something to that effect. And now, Fox McCloud in Jurassic Park 2.
Little fella?
Oh, I don't like this, Fox.
Fox! Look out! It's a trap!
But unlike the Jurassic Park sequel, Fox isn't eaten. He's held captive in the Lightfoot Village, a race of blunt and rude raptors.
That's the stinking beast that took my treasure!
The game really starts to fall off the rails at this point. Yeah, sure, the village looks great, like everything else in the game, but when you start to explore it, you'll realize it's a soulless, empty void of bullshit. Look, none of the huts are occupied. The worst part is, there's no hint or instructions to what the objective is here, so you end up wandering around aimlessly, stumbling upon needed items by chance. I found some wooden blocks and eventually came across the chieftain, who will let you access the Krazoa shrine if you pass his tests.
Under our village is a mighty chamber. Only if you complete the Lightfoot test can you enter. But before you decide, take a look at this.
Why is he showing me an alpha version of a menu screen? Let's test strength first. This one's just a simple button mash event. Let's pull up the button mashing difficulty scale so you can get an idea. Yeah, beating Mr. Johnson's about here. Okay, I know Rare's going for realism here, but really? Did they really have to leave me across the village when they know I'll have to go do the next test? Fine. The tracking test is a bit harder. You'll have to flip 4 switches scattered across the village within the time limit, but you'll have to scope out where they are beforehand in order to finish in time.
Ah, you have failed the test.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
After passing both tests, you'll gain access to the underground part of the village. I'm not sure if it's just me, but in my first playthrough I got stuck here, and now I consider this the most cryptic part of the game. It appears there is a puzzle associated with the totem pole, but it's hard to tell exactly what the puzzle is. Do you have to hit the logs in a certain order? With your staff? With your fire blaster? Maybe we can look around the village and find a clue. Oh wow, the vacant huts are now occupied.
My babies, they are so naughty.
Go on.
Find all three and I'll reward you.
Why is it my responsibility to make sure your babies come home at night? And this hut doesn't seem large enough to accommodate a full family. So much for being a responsible parent. If you wander around long enough, you'll eventually find the kids. Let's see what we get as a reward.
Thank you for saving my babies. Here is your reward.
Okay, more walking, but I'm sure there's something good in those boxes. Are you serious? We spent 10 minutes on a side quest for the Zelda equivalent of a recovery heart? And this box was completely empty. Why not just put a big f*** you in there as a cherry on top of this shit sundae? Well, alright, I admit it. I'm stuck. Let's just explore every inch of this underground section and oh! Okay, there was a hidden switch up there. I swear, man, am I the only one that couldn't find this? The switch activates the totem puzzle, where you match images on each log to make a serpent, which then unlocks the door to the Krazoa Shrine. This Krazoa Shrine is actually a challenge, the test of fear. All you have to do is keep Fox from pissing himself, which is apparently equivalent to doing a grind in Tony Hawk Pro Skater. While it's not difficult at first, the motion gets more erratic as the event goes on. Also, it's really tempting to look down at the cutscene below, but you'll have to keep your eye focused on the sanity meter or risk a nervous breakdown. Later, after another quick exorcism, you encounter a manic mother whose babies are in danger of being eaten.
My eggs! They're stealing my eggs! Please help!
Remember when Fox saved the Lilat system from Andros? Wow, we've come a long way, huh? Besides, this is just nature. And her selfish ass made me kill 100 carnivores so her 5 brat babies could grow up to stay out past curfew.
My babies, they are so naughty. Naughty. Naughty.
And now back to generic soap opera with dinosaurs.
It's so nice to see you both. But I have some bad news. Son, your father has been taken prisoner within the walled city.
Is he okay? Fox! We've got to help him. Quick! He's right, Queen. Point us in the direction of the gatekeeper and we'll rescue him.
I wish it were that simple. You see, Tricky's father is the gatekeeper.
Dad's a gatekeeper? No, that's all we need.
Yes, and a wise one at that. When Scales came to our land, your father knew that the Sharpclaws would come for him, and so he hid his gatekeeper powers behind this sacred seal. I'm sorry, but I cannot break the seal. Maybe you might have some idea.
Tune in next week to see if Fox can unlock the computerized door to unlock the gate to the walled city and rescue Tricky's father. Spoilers, he does. Unlike the large expanse of Dark Ice Mines and the somewhat sizable Cloudrunner Fortress, the third dungeon is a bit smaller and presented as an open world. When you land, what you see is what you get. We also make our first encounter with the large T-Rex enemies here, which is always cool to see in a video game. You'll find Tricky's dad under the temple.
Dad, you're okay!
Tricky, my son. You don't have to worry about me. I am the king.
Hurry, we have to save him so he can get back to cheating in a kid's racing game. Let's see what's in that cave. Lovely. After a couple of fetch quests, it's already time to fight the boss. Well, hey, at least there is a boss in this dungeon, right? And, oh, yeah, it's a good one. For anyone who's watched the first Jurassic Park film, this is true horror right here. Aside from the intimidation factor, the fight itself is straightforward. Hit the switch at the correct time to Then chuck an explosive barrel at his head. A few more cycles and the Spellstone is yours. Great. Now Tricky's dad can get back to the racetrack, and we can bring the Spellstone back to the Force Point Temple. Since there are 4 Spellstones and only 2 temples, we're taking this one back to Moon Pass at the Fire Force Point Temple. It would have been nice to see 4 different Force Point temples, maybe an Earth and Wind Temple to cover the 4 elements. But it's forgivable given the limitations of the disk space on the GameCube, even if that means some additional backtracking. And at least there are different branching paths inside the temple for each Spellstone. Since we're on the topic of discs, let's discuss loading. You may have noticed by now that Starfox Adventures has no loading screens. To accomplish this, Rare included these small buffer rooms between the larger areas, which allows the GameCube to load up the next area while Fox is in the smaller room. You'll notice these rooms are specifically designed to have a trigger that indicates you'll be moving to the next zone. Like here, when we travel from Thorntail Hollow to Moon Pass, once you jump down the hole and head left, the loading begins for Moon Pass.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
After all that busy work, I remembered picking up a cheat token earlier in the game. Ha! Cheats in a Rare game. Historically, they've gone all out with cheats. Remember Cheeto from Banjo-Kazooie? And all the fun cheats in GoldenEye? I mean, this could be something awesome, like Fox getting his blaster back. The cheat token's deposited into the maze under the Warp Stone. Let's see, yeah, this is it. Here we go. That's it? Well, I wouldn't call that a cheat unless they mean Fox cheating on Crystal with Falco. Please, no more. Once back in Thorntail Hollow, you'll get a bigger wallet and need to scrounge around for more cash to buy an item from the shop. And this is a chore. It's not just like Zelda where you smash a few pots and cut some grass. Here, you'll be lifting stones to catch Scarabs. But there's only a few stones per area, and they don't reset easily. Rare took so many inspirations from Zelda with this game. Was it too much to ask for them to put the thief mechanic in from Link's Awakening? You know, when you could just steal stuff when the clerk isn't looking?
Are you ready?
Well, back to reality. We fork over the cash and bring the item to the snow area to get another Krazoa spirit. This test is way too easy. It's just a rehash of the test of strength from earlier. After getting back from Krazoa Palace, the Warp Stone gives us a clue about the next gatekeeper.
Fox, my boy! 3 spellstones down and only 1 to go! Go to Dragon Rock!
But where do I find the gatekeeper?
He is closer than you realize!
My suspicion was that it was the Warp Stone.
Fuck!
Nah, that would make too much sense. Turns out it's just one of these plain dinos over here.
I am the gatekeeper.
With the inclusion of the Lightfoot Village, everything from here to the end of the game gives the impression of being rushed, underfunded, and quite frankly thrown together in the last minute. This guy being the gatekeeper is just the beginning. Now we head over to the final dungeon, Dragon Rock. Well, if it's anything like Turtle Rock, then we're in for a massive, sprawling finale here. And it's another open world dungeon. And I mean open. After running around aimlessly for about 10 minutes, I had to call Slippy for some direction. Yeah, I must have been desperate. The objective here is to free the imprisoned dinos. Then, of course, grab the Spellstone. First, we liberate this Earthwalker who's ready for vengeance.
You have done well to find me. Now get on my back. Let's do some damage. Damage.
That's a lot of damage!
Okay, as empty as this dungeon is, I gotta admit, that was pretty awesome. Definitely better than this. Preview. After you destroy some of the robots, you find this Brontosaurus. Did they run out of time to give this guy a voice? He seemed important enough for one. Now just stand still, big guy, and I'll get you free of those... Whoops.
I guess we're ready to go.
Oh, he has a voice.
We're crossing the plain, and you're going to have to protect me.
Oh, I get it now. Sean Connery is a big expense, so I could see why they couldn't afford too many lines. You hop on his back in a rail shooter event that just screams lazy design. After that, you rescue a Cloudrunner trapped in a cage.
Look out! Are you okay?
I'm fine. Hey, aren't you a friend of Crystal?
How do you know Crystal?
I felt her.
Hey, wait a sec. He's the guy from the start of the game. And you ride him in another rail shooter. Fox has an R-Wing right there. Wouldn't it be both safer and easier to do this with modern technology instead of this guy? But programming was never implemented for all range mode dogfighting, only rail shooters. On to the boss of the final dungeon. Wow, this cyborg demon dragon guy looks like he busted straight out of Doom. But why am I limited to this small platform? Oh no. Oh no. Come on down to Rail Shooter Rock. We've got rail shooting brontosauruses and rail shooting cloudrunners and a rootin' tootin' rail shooting boss because we didn't give enough f***s to put the finishing touches on this dungeon. The last spellstone. We're in the home stretch. Back to the Ocean Force Point Temple, but not before...
My precious gold!
You greedy bastard!
He's not the only one.
Oh, I'm not paid enough for this. Look, fella, I'm not paid enough to keep getting you guys out of trouble.
Let's pop that stone in and collect our fat paycheck.
Mission complete! What's going on? We've placed all the spell stones.
There must be more to it, Fox!
Of course that would be too easy. We haven't saved Crystal yet. So we backtrack to the walled city and get the final Krazoa spirit, and even though it takes a while to get over there, the puzzles to unlock the Krazoa shrine are really cool. Turns out these puzzles were already implemented into the N64 version. I think we're beginning to see a trend here, huh? You know, this may be the only time in the game where this music is justified and fits the scene. Because Fox can finally evolve his Nidorino. With the final Krazoa spirit and Tricky returned with his dad, it's finally time to say goodbye to our friend Tricky.
It's time to say goodbye.
I know you're right, Fox. It's just... I'm Crystal.
Then, once the final Krazoa spirit is deposited, you'll encounter General Scales for an anticlimactic showdown.
Now you must face me. Stop!
Scales! You are no longer any use to me.
It's revealed that there's another Krazoa spirit, and he's been hiding it the whole time.
What's going on? You said this would save her! No!
Who's this guy?
I am reborn, the mighty Krazoa god.
Wait. No.
Heal all those that stand before me.
It just wouldn't make any sense. I mean... Did they... Really? Why? Why didn't they just make the last boss General Scales? Much like the players that picked this up as their first Starfox game, this made absolutely no sense to me. You don't establish a character as the main antagonist throughout the whole game, then just brush him aside like a petty minion of a villain from a totally different game. I mean, the gameplay versus Andross is fine, it plays like a bootleg version of the Star Fox 64 Andross fight, but imagine how great this could have been if it wasn't a Star Fox game. We could have had a one-on-one with this guy.
Ah yes, Princess Scarlet, your mother. Once I've dealt with this animal, then we'll pay your mother a visit. A nice try, but you'll have to kill me before you can save the princess.
Falco makes his Han Solo-style return mid-fight, and with some patience, Andross finally goes down.
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
Fox gets paid, Falco rejoins the team, and Crystal sneaks onto the ship to give Fox his reward.
Holy shit!
Side note, if she had a spaceship, why did she ride this thing to attack General Scales at the start of the game? Well, whatever. There you have it. Starfox Adventures, Dinosaur Planet. And with this game, you get exactly what's on the box. An adventure with Starfox on the GameCube, where you fight dinosaurs with a staff. It's very similar to Zelda, and for Zelda fans expecting the first GameCube Zelda to look like this, when instead they got this. Starfox Adventures was there for you, with its vibrant, realistic graphics. From my perspective, the game's quality suffered because of 3 major events during development. First, there was the transition from the N64 to the GameCube. Dinosaur Planet was already reasonably far into development when the decision was made to upgrade everything for the GameCube. And while the majority of content was already developed on the N64, the content that was developed and completed on the GameCube was empty, unpolished, and quite frankly, just unfinished. This leads on to point number 2. Dinosaur Planet suffered from becoming a Star Fox game. The original concept of having 2 protagonists working to save Dinosaur Planet was scrapped to focus completely on Fox McCloud as the sole protagonist. Moreover, the final showdown with General Scales was scrapped for an uninspired Andros fight. This decision also may have demoralized the development team, since they felt passionately about the characters and world they were creating in Dinosaur Planet. But ultimately, the allure of increasing sales using the Star Fox brand was too hard to resist, which all culminates to the final and perhaps most significant reason why Star Fox Adventures wasn't the perfect Rare game we all expected it to be.
For the last 2 years, this project has just been haunted with rumors. There's been rumors and speculation. Microsoft buying Sega, Microsoft buying Vivendi, Square, you name the company, we've been accused of buying them. The latest rumor is what? Rare, that Microsoft's buying Rare. I just wanted to come up before Sandy finishes and say in front of all of you, well, it's true.
Yup, Microsoft buys Rare. In the end, it's all about money, the root of all evil. Remember a time when game developers were passionate about their products and made games they were proud of, games they wanted to play themselves. This mentality brought us so many classics, and of course the money would follow as players wanted these games, but now everything is about maximizing profit. From DLC to pay to win, this was the move that took down the titan that was Rare. On September 23rd, 2002, Star Fox Adventures was released in North America.
What are you doing, Fox?
And one day later, Rare was purchased by Microsoft. This is the biggest evidence that Star Fox Adventures was rushed to release because Rare needed to finish development for Nintendo before they could proceed with the buyout. This prevented Rare from finishing and polishing up many of the areas of Star Fox Adventures and implementing bare minimum game mechanics in some unfinished areas in order to proceed with the buyout. So in the end, we can pin it down on the true villain of this tale, Microsoft.